The New Wine Leaders Conference is an amazing, unique experience for church leaders in Wales.
Spend less time in your head.
The one thing I think I love about New Wine, probably more than anything else, is just the camaraderie, the coming together as friends from across the nation.
This is the church in unity. It's like there's an army rising up.
Hang out, connect, but also hear amazing leadership, teaching and training.
We are on a mission together to reach this wonderful nation of Wales of ours.
It's more than a conference. It is building together for the purposes of the kingdom of God in Wales.
So look, that leaders conference, clearly it's important, it's key, it's strategic. So why, for you, from your role, why is that leaders conference so important?
Well, for me, I think New Wine works right across the nation. So we have regions from north, south, east, west. And it gives us an opportunity to bring everybody together, to recognize one another, to connect with one another, build relationships, to be inspired, equipped at a different level, and to build in and support what we're doing right across the nations. A lot of it is about relationship building. When you walk in the room, it's a bit like family. It feels like a local church, but we are with fantastic leaders and their teams that got a heart together for the nation.
So what kinds of leaders do you want to see being developed through your program? And actually, what kinds of leaders do we need in the church in Wales?
That's a good question. I think we need leaders who know how to lead. When I went to Bible college, I was taught how to preach and teach and do weddings and funerals and pastoral visits and some counseling. But I didn't have a clue how to lead an organization or a church, how to galvanize different people together, how to get everybody on board with the same page and same vision. I didn't know how to mobilize and equip for strategic purposes, that we might not just be busy doing good, healthy, helpful things, but we're actually moving forward. And I think we need leaders who know how to lead, how to build healthy churches that do mission well.
Okay. So what kinds of churches then do we need? If we need those kinds of leaders, what other sorts of churches we need to be generating amongst ourselves?
Well, I think we need healthy churches.
What's it look like? What's a healthy church look like?
Well, I think we need churches that are relationally mature, where people like each other.
That helps, I think, doesn't it,
folks? That's a starting place. Where it's not toxic, where we're not divided. I mean, I don't mean just divided.
Isn't that heaven, though? Isn't that what we call heaven?
We are colonies of, well, no, don't.
But
use
we're
that
the
word.
bride of Christ. We're the bride of Christ.
And we are to be embassies of heaven and reflect the culture of heaven.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't do that very well. We often reflect the culture of earth. And I often think about when Paul says, "I'd love to call you spiritual, but I call you worldly." And basically saying, when there's divisions amongst you, I mean, worldliness isn't, when I first became a Christian, worldliness was going to the cinema.
Yeah.
But Paul defines in Corinthians, worldliness is that actually we're divided and we have arguments there's partisans.
So we need more united churches, we need less toxic churches, we need highly relational churches. Anything else you'd say?
Well, then I think in context of our mission field, we need missional churches that see themselves as missional movements first, that pastor, teach, disciple, worship, rather than I'm a pastor, I'm a teacher, and don't misunderstand. But if we don't put mission first, there's nobody to pastor.
What does a missional church then look like from your perspective? We talk a lot, don't we, about missional church, and it's a bit of a capsule? What's it mean?
Well, I think it's first. Well, what is our? I think it's a church that understands its primary purpose and understands that we're part of the mission of God. And Jesus was our model, our first pioneer, and he was a missional man sent from heaven in all of his deity. And the disciples that he gathered together, he actually called them apostles, which sent ones. So that's like there's a little key there that the church in its foundation is to be missional at heart. So it's an outward focus and said it's not here for me first. It's here for the world. And I don't know that as because most of our theological training is pastor-teacher, I don't know that we see that. Sometimes, my primary role as a leader is to pastor and to teach the flock of God. Yes, it is. But but as leaders, we need to see our role as missional first and equipping the congregation to be missional first, so that when people join a church, a Christian joins a church, for example, and so what they're looking for, I like the teaching here. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like the fellowship here. Ooh, the worship's great.
And the coffee's not bad either.
And something for my kids. But I can't remember the last time a Christian came to our church and said, can you talk to me, what's your missional strategy? I mean, what was it? The defining thing that's going to make me join your church is your missional impetus.
Sure.
And I think we have become a bit self-serving. Mm-hmm. And I think missional church, in the first place, is how we define church and the why. Now, you don't neglect all the other things, but that is a fundamental paradigm shift, I think.
Good. So, look, you've been doing a great job serving New Wine Cymru for a number of years now. Just give us the basic backstory to New Wine as it's placed here in Wales. When did it start? Why did it start?
Well, it used to.
What is it?
It used to look a lot like New Wine England, but smaller. And it was an event. And it was a growing event, you know. I had about 1,200 people come into it. And I was invited to speak, and I was speaking and then go home like most leaders. And so it was congregations. But there were very few leaders in it. And a group of us started meeting together thinking, what does God want to do in Wales? Did he want to do anything with us as friends? Because we've known each other for a long time. And we thought, yes, they did. And what was the best vehicle to actually do that? And New Wine Cymru was already established. And so we said, well, let's do it through there. And they invited me if I would lead it. And I felt, I felt God wanted me to do that. So I said yes. But there is not so much a condition, but an understanding that we stop the event. Because we're not going to change a nation by an event, even if it's a great one. But we have to work with leaders and teams, because local churches change nations. In small villages, in rural villages, in towns and estates, healthy local churches doing mission well will transform the fabric of our nation spiritually and society-wise.
Yeah, I can see you want to preach every time.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
But
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good.
You are my friend, though, so you've got to forgive me.
So let's drill down a little bit upon that vision that you articulated about a healthy church, churches across Wales. WLF stands for, trying to see a gospel community established in every town and village and community right across Wales, winning Wales with the gospel. So from your New Wine perspective, with your New Wine leadership hat on, what's the map look like to you? How are we doing against that glorious vision?
Better. 14 years ago, when I went around speaking to leaders, because you can't force this upon people, and there was a general understanding, acceptance, that it was breaking our hearts. Some of us have been in ministry 10, 15, 20 years, and we didn't sign up to not see anybody saved, and our church is declining. It's not like we're not even maintaining. And it was breaking our hearts. But it was that brokenness, I think, and pain, the pain that produces a humility out of a desperation to say, okay, we're not going to be able to, we're not making this work on our own, but maybe the wisdom of God and the grace of God is in the collective, not in just my denomination or my stream or my local church. None of us are doing very well. Mm-hmm. And so what if we just began to meet together and work together to learn how to build healthy churches out of our joint experience and failures that does mission well. And 14 years down the road, the stories I'm hearing is that more people are coming to Christ, seeing more baptisms, churches are growing, 1 in 3, in the Talking Jesus survey, 1 in 3 non-Christians have a conversation with people about Jesus, want to discover more or encounter him. And so whereas like 20 years ago, 30 years when we started, you'd say, well, I'm a Christian, talked about Jesus, you feel like they want to punch your lights out. You know, I mean, they wouldn't, but you felt a mild hostility, and they want to shut down or walk away quick. Now they lean into the conversation, and young people as well. And so there's a long way to go, but it is better than it was, and the spiritual climate has changed, and the opportunity is, well, actually, it's very exciting if we get our act together.
Yeah. And we've enjoyed, haven't we, in the last year or so, getting together with other senior leaders across the Welsh church scene to begin to listen to each other, understand each other, trust each other, and build on partnerships and investment. So as you look at that prospect, Julian, how do you see that the future between agencies like ours, WLF, and movements like yours and the Presbyterian Church of Wales? You seem to be generously wanting to invest and partner with Bible-believing, Spirit-filled, energetic, missional-minded leaders and churches. What does that look like for you? What are the next steps that you want to take?
Well, New Wine Cymru is like a missional unity movement. So, I mean, it has 22 denominations or church expressions involved in it. So our very core and our purpose for being is to recognize that actually we need one another. There's only one church in this nation, and it is the collective church. And I know we've all got our tribes, but you know we respect our tribes and we have responsibility for them, but we fight as a nation, you know, and we come together as a nation to win a nation. And we need one another. And I don't think one denomination has it. So it's as we journey together relationally, listening, honoring, respecting, recognize there's something to learn from the historic denominations. There's something to learn from the new denominations. There's something to learn from the older, mature leaders. There's something to learn from the newer leaders. And as we learn together and go on this mutual equipping journey, I think we're going to become a healthy church. It's a little bit like the Ephesians 4 ministries. The diversity of the Ephesians 4 ministries are given to not just equip the saints for the works of ministry, but to mature us until we become the full measure of his fullness increasingly. And I don't think Paul, when he talked about the Ephesians 4 ministries, had a denomination in mind. Of course, we know he didn't. But the Ephesians 4 ministries go to the whole church. Now, I don't think Wales just needs the Pentecostal Ephesians 4 ministries or the Methodist Ephesians 4 ministries or the Charismatic or the Reform. I think the Church in Wales needs them all and exposure to them all, because that is where the breadth of Christ is given to the church through anointing, through that anointing. And I think we need one another.
Julian Richards, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.